First of all, just start off by saying thank you, God. It's important for me to be thankful for the few things I can be thankful for. But I'm thankful. Um, as hard as it is to say that, I think I need to be just saying that as much as I can while I can. Because I don't know how long I have till I can't say that. But I need to be thankful to God for the life I didn't live. Because this slow life have shown me that there's a life that's just so much disgusting. And I'm not talking about uncomfortability or poverty, because who I deal with in these circumstances are not people living in an uncomfortable state or poverty, but there's obviously participants that are in that state. So when I say I'm thankful, I'm just thankful that even those who are living around me or co-workers of mine that live a life where life is comfortable, where they don't live in poverty, they live a life of low lifeness. And my videos are not here to be spiritual, but there's spirituality in that. That you could live like these clowns, like this disgusting trash, and do this foulness, because this is what is normalized because of this program. Let me just start by saying what needs to be said. First and foremost, I understand I'm a target individual. I'm a TI. And I understand that as a target individual, life is no longer just normal life. You're no longer a human being, a normal human being. You're a human being who's being utilized for very sinister things. Sinister things that consist of, for most of us target individual, we deal with a lot of V2K, synthetic telepathy. I shouldn't say most of us, but for a lot of us, I should say. But some target individuals just deal with just gang stalking and things that are just more superficial than the technology that can do so much to you. So I'm a target individual who deal with synthetic telepathy, V2K, and this the direct energy weaponry. And it's been disgusting, psychologically tormenting, physically damaging, and really fragilizing me in my health. I deal with this nastiness, and I understand this is way bigger than what is presented to me. I know that although all these clowns and nobody's participating, this is a governmental program. This is not some retard community clown doing that to me. I've understood that wherever I go in the world, this will happen to me. This is how big it is. This is how global it is. And it's not because this local individual participating that is there now. I've accepted that, but I'm not taking the accountability away from those participants. So it's an interesting concept that I see these losers doing that to me as just nothings. But when we face each other, this nothing are accountable for what they're part of. And a lot of this loserness involving that they want to be seen as like the key element of what's happening to you, when in truth they're just nothing, just the trash. They're useful idiots. They're useful retards. They retards for pay. They're idiotic for pay. They dumb themselves down for pay, or not even for pay, but for this program. They're professional, making themselves dumb enough, retarded individual to gaslight me, to make me stoop to a level of stupidity that this program is known to force target individual to experience. Rationality is regressed at a level of mentally stupid, of mental retardation that is surreal. And these clowns supposed to force you to rationalize in this retarded way, no matter how obvious it is what they do. There is no way to not see these things. Today they cannot cover that up. There is no way. There is no way. With the amount of information target individual we can acquire understanding that this is not unique to us, is no way they can cover that up. Is no way. Whatever facade that's presented to you, because they can present facades and they stand psychologically for a purpose, to cover up reality, what it is. I've understood that from day one. I've understood that since I started seeing this, like, I was like, okay, this is happening, involving this, especially day one of this V2K starting happening. I was like, okay, obviously this is not what's being presented to me. What's presented to me and what's happening to me are two different things. This fake work, like, it's like, there's no way. This technology is out here frying all. There's no way. I understood that they're just trying to present something. There's some kind of look they want me to see them as. There's such some kind of look they want to present to me, to see them in this fashion, so they can make me believe in whatever storylines. And I understood that. And I understood that it's psychologically a game. Now, to find out right now, they create mental battles because it's like, oh, but for like the few first day, like, you kind of went for it, or you not even went for it. I subscribed to this facade to be this and that, when in reality, it's like, even through the confusion, after a little bit of reflection, it just didn't make sense. It's like this makes no sense, and my brain is still trying to create mental battles because, the way they just implanted these disgusting things in my brain, which is something I've been just how common things are with the things they do to Tiger Joe. Listen, I've been making videos bringing up the fact that I've been using this app called Gemini AI, which is like a ChatGPT. But I think I've used ChatGPT, but ChatGPT has been it seems like the technology is like, okay, we don't want to make somebody, because Target Media are known to just being labeled as crazy and whatnot, so they don't want to enforce the validation of what's happening with Target Media. So some app kind of restrain some kind of restrict some kind of information, while Gemini seems that they still provide information based on what you're asking. And so I've been pulling up, Ask Gemini, which is like a chat GPT. Can you bring up the TI claims of thought manipulation that consists of this disgusting pedophilia-centric things they do, or the nasty imagery implanted as pedophilia-centric, and they will bring up testimonials and saying that this is the typical things they do. Everything I've been speaking about, everything they've been doing that to others, everything. Forcing mothers to couldn't even be around their own children because they are being manipulated to have sexual arousals. Breaking down, running to the bathroom, crying. The child is outside, it's like, "Mommy, what's going on? You don't like my drawing?" Because the woman got forced to get sexual arousal when her toddler ran into the room, started showing her drawing that she was so proud of. The mother couldn't deal with the nasty reaction that was being forced onto her to have sexual arousals. She breaks down, runs into the bathroom, start crying, stay in the bathroom for an hour. She even showered, just get rid of whatever things that she felt so dirty. Other women being in the car yelling because this disgusting sexual arousal that she was forced to have when she just looked at a child. She goes into her car, yells, just screams. This is the things they do. They're forcing Target Media to have these disgusting things, and then they have this trash that play like they're protectors of children. It's so disgusting. And the facade. Or they love to utilize womanly, especially when it comes to Target Media who are women. They love to use other women as Target Media. Sorry, as perps. Which makes sense because, especially for women, it's going to look a certain way if whoever is harassing or is gaslighting the woman is a man. So what they do, they use other women as perps to gaslight the TI, who's a woman. And it's all psychologically planified. It makes sense. Now, for me, what they're doing is they're utilizing a lot of female gender individual, some adults, some not. But one thing that's common here is like they like to use like nurture like individual mothers, aunties, people who look very motherly, like the people that everybody kind of can relate to, that you can imagine. Oh, your grandmother, yo, just auntie, they make me think it's great. Like people that you can. It's hard to see evil in them to gaslight you. And of course, there's a lot of teenage trash participating there, but this trash, you can see the trashiness in them easily. So I'm saying that trash making think the younger kids, but they use a lot of this teenage shit. And the most disgusting part is how they use the facade of sisterhood and feminine empowerment and this Me Too like facade in this program, but even toward women, which if you look at it, it makes a lot of sense why they would do that to women, because that's how they will cover up what's happening. This I was listening to testimonials of women going to like organization that's meant to protect women and describing what was happening to them, from the sexual stimulation that's forced onto them, and here in New York, to the sexual torture. And this organization will utilize this, very progressive language that try to like reverse reality. Like maybe what's happening to you is like you externalizing the internal pain that you feel, like things like that, to try to make the target individual believe like it's you who's having this issue. It's not what you're claiming it is. And I've dealt with a lot of clowns like that. Women, it's funny because they always used to bring up, and Medusa, Mish, remember what you did there? When talking about my youth when I was like at a nightclub in New York City. The testimonials of target individual who are female who says they're being groped by men in the train, and then when she just reacts, guess who's there to cover that up? Either some bunch of teenage trash using this like woke like verbiage, like, oh, this is like feminine fragility, or something like that, and a woman will come and just like with like a pin or some kind of woman like Me Too like shirt or something to show like an activist looking person and be like, oh no, it's just like you're just internalizing your own wrongs and things like that. It's so nasty that I can find. Listen, I'm in New York City. I don't know why these clowns here would think that's like, of course this will be very popular very popular. It will be very big in New York because this is a big city. It's based on the city. If I was actually, I'll be more doubtful that it's happening if I was in a small city. But New York City is like the center of the world. Of course, if this gonna happen anywhere in the world, it's gonna happen here in different disturbing ways. And these clowns wanted to be like, no, New York is such a progressive place. Like, what? Listen to all these women being destroyed. And on top of that, gaslight by people who are supposed to look like they're the protectors and the sisterhoods and the of women. But it's all designed to cover up what's happening. This is a governmental program. And not only they utilize this advanced level of manipulation of technology, but at the same time, they're maximizing the psychological game of confusing the target individual. But it's hard to confuse when you have all this validation or all these things that can give you the information that you need to. Because it is good to be able to testify, target individual, write your story, share your story, talk about your life, what's happened to you, because somebody else can find strength. Once we see others dealing with the exact same, in some of the things is exactly the same. To be tricked into subscribing to these things. It's never gonna happen. It's never. You're just gonna have to deal with how you're being manipulated, understanding this is what they're gonna do. You have no choice. They will manipulate you to have this experience. They choose what you experience. They choose how you experience it. Because in this technology are so advanced that your thoughts are not yours. Your perceptions are not yours. Your brain is not yours. They play with your brain like you're a toy. But then they have these clowns around you that's supposed to gaslight you and make you internalize the things they do to you, so you don't think you're being manipulated, that you think it's you. And that's the game in this program. And the being subscriptive and internalizing this is never gonna happen. But accepting that I'm gonna be manipulated in this disgusting way, or discussing the way they want me to be manipulated, it has to be accepted, because there's no choice to that. This is a program that is control mind. I can be repulsed, I can be disturbed by it, but I will never internalize this manipulation. And the clowns and the trash and this nobody, like I said, I know they're nothings in this program, but they will be accountable for their participation. So when we face each other, when they do their games in front of me, I see them for the nobodies involved in this. Of course, it's way bigger than these little clowns around me. But this little clown around me are involved in this. So they've been making me sick, feel disgusting, not even disgusting like mentally, but physically, just don't feel like my guts. I don't know what they're doing to it, but they tell me I'm rotting, and I do feel like something of that level is happening to my body. And fatigue. And I've noticed that because I've been bringing up the testimonials that validates everything they do to me. As in, like, everything they do to me, they do to others. So it validates that they're doing this. And there's no covering that up. So the perps have become more childlike. Because once they can't even argue the fact that you literally do the same thing as this person. You can't not even argue. You can't even they send the most childlike perps. They think their little gimmicks and start talking like, yeah, you're gonna be down, you're gonna route, you're gonna and start making themselves talk like that via V2K. It's a clown. Just because you make yourself talk like that, he's not gonna negate how I just heard this kid in Brooklyn get the neck and the ear cooked. These children, this baby being cooked. Still try to sound like you're an avenging justice seekers when you're involved in this. It's over here. This is in your city. They're cooking babies and women. Still want to walk around like, yeah, pay, not there. With all these women, they're drugging, they're raping and all this, and then they have this fake woke ass trash trying to cover up in your city. Still gonna let you live your fantasy. This teenage trash are here covering that up. Women being roped in trains. And this trash out here using all the woke words to try to cover up reality. Everything, the manipulations, the stimulation. When I'm in the it was like so surreal to hear the stories that I deal with when I go to the train. Don't discussing things. Mothers sitting next to me with their kids wanting to be, and then forcing me to get the sexual arousal toward. I was about to. The reason why they say that movement is because they're making me think of this little baby and this woman sitting right in front of me, wanting her child to be seen. Same stories at the target video calling out. Forced to get sexual arousals in the train. Disturbing, and the mother's like, oh, looking at her phone, shaking her head, doing the same behavior. This baby. She actually wanted to sit next to me. She wanted the baby to sit next to me. So I moved, and then I sat across, and she was like, oh, say thank you. I was like, try shut up. I know what you're doing. This poor innocent baby that they're forcing me to get sexual arousals. It's nasty. And I have my body cam, so I capture all of that. I was supposed to make a video about that. But the energy I have is being drained. I don't have that strength, especially now that I discover everything. Well, let me just say this. I didn't discover everything. I already knew that. Especially now that I can pull a new testimonial every time or something kind of newer. These clowns, when they get bored, I was like, okay, yeah, you're going to be bored of that. You're going to be bored of that. Let's keep you excited then. Get some new testimonials here that validates what's happening here. Because you're so bored. Pick a city. You want to stay local? You want to hear another thing about somebody in the train being forced to get sexual arousals because there's some teenager, some kid, or some young adult or something like that? Everything can be... The thing with the testimonials, they were so like similar. I started like questioning, are they just creating testimonials because that's what they think I want to hear? But my questions are not even like that specific. They gave me specific testimonials and exactly describing what was happening. To me, it's exactly similar to what the testimonials of these others, because I'm using Gemini AI, and what it's doing is scraping the internet to find stories about the claims and then bring it back to me in synthesized way, so in a summarized way. To fit a specific, amount of words and whatnot. So it summarizes things, not just verbatim. So I kept looking, it's like, okay, and they even give you like maybe like the title and this and that, the potential profession of this person who's talking, or maybe like the gender. Oh, the gender is actually not that's something they already can pull, but they add little things, like they add like titles like somatic sensation. So I'm like, you know what? Because these clowns are going to try to discredit everything. Just give me authentic testimonials. So yes, you can give me a summary, because if there's like a 4-page of like testimonials, just summarize that. And so they're like, okay, well, here's the authentic summary of the testimony. This woman was working there. They sent that, and then quote, this is what happening to her. She says that I was at the park, and immediately I get forced to get these sexual arousals when children pass by. And this and then description, authentic, in a regard of coming from a real testimonial. I couldn't believe it. An authentic story I couldn't believe. That's when it started making me looking like, is this really giving me like real claims, or they're just saying the same thing? This Snapchat thing has been listen, today and yesterday was disgusting. They actually made me forced to have like this sexual dream, and then even made me it was disgusting. But they forced me to get sexual arousal towards teenage shit, this trashy. And what they've done is like they forced me to get sexual arousal even on young adults. Now, some young adult I can look at and see them in a sexual fashion, right? I can imagine them in a sexual way because they do look womanly. They look like women. I mean, they are women, they are adults, but they're young. Some of them look like actually like women. And as a straight man, I can look at a woman and imagine her in a sexual way, as I'm saying that they still try to create mental battles. So, of course, I can look at a young adult in certain ways. But they forcing me to have this sexual perception toward these young adults just because they're young. Some of them don't even look like they're adults. I was watching this guy. He has a Rampage Jackson. Listen, I know there's a lot of grown older men in their 50s still like dating young adults. That's that's how it is. Do whatever you want to, as long as they're adults and they, that's on you. This, in the end, even if you're a 50-year-old woman being with it, like it's not for me to judge that. as long as they are adult and they know what they're getting themselves into. And he's in a streaming. He's a streamer. I don't watch the streaming things that much except his, because his is kind of different from like the typical streamers that like I think the demographic is too young for me. Like in regard of me watching that, I can't relate. I don't like that. It's just they sound annoying to me. But he because he's like a older man. He's like a 47-year-old man, and what he does is just like is entertaining to even the older crowd, because the way he behaves is not like he doesn't try to act too much. Even though there's some acting, he doesn't really act. You can see that's really who he is. So add to the entertainment. I don't. I'm not similar to this man. I have nothing in common besides being black. I don't have the point of view that he has. He's like a 25-year-old in the body of a 47-year-old. He acts like the way somebody in the 20s acts, but as a 50-some-year-old. So I guess in that respect, he can just brings me back to maybe when I was in my 20s. But to see a 47-year-old act this way, it is kind of comical, and it is funny. I don't want to live his life, but he's an entertaining individual. And it's funny, this trash try to make me like, you see how it's like, okay, these clowns have no shame. And so he in this stream he hangs out with other streamers, and the streamers usually are really young, like early 20s, like young adults. There's one who look like maybe she's like younger adult, like between 18 and 21 max. And she doesn't even look like fully adult, to be honest. She doesn't even look like she look teenagey still, like underage teen. And they're forcing me to perceive her in a sexual way because the way she looks. And I'm like, listen, I've seen some 21-year-old that look womanly, and because they look womanly, I can perceive them and imagine them in a sexual way. You guys are forcing me because she doesn't even look like she looks underage. And every time she was walking, they were forcing me to get this experience. But I'm like, you do that to like the children, like 12 years old. 12. So some young adult that you're doing that to me okay, I can deal with that. And they were making me think I made a video like they did that to like a 13-year-old and tried to make me look at the behind of this 13-year-old, and they have this ability, and it's been validated by others that they can play with your brain and make you look at a feature or in a more provocative way. And they do that all the time with these kids. All of that has been validated. And then when they force me to get this sexual arousal toward this teenager, especially like the 15, 16, 17, what they do, they make me think of who I followed on Snapchat in 2014. Now that's when things get bizarre. At the target video, I've mentioned that they use things like that. So in 2014, in my 20s, I followed somebody on Snapchat thinking she was an adult. No idea that she was not. She looked like an adult, and she looked today the exact same way. Minus she's pregnant and married. But she looked exactly the same. The way she looked and the way she looked at 27 is identical. She always looked like a matter of fact, it looked like her aging has regressed. At some point, it looked like she started to get looking younger when she was in her 20s than when she was not an adult. It's weird. Anyway, I follow her thinking she's another 20-year-old, something like, college student. But never interacted with her, never even talked to her. I don't know her. People, you just show the stories and all that, and you just live life through them. Traveling the world, doing all this, and just that they have a boyfriend and this and that. She has a just living life through them. But they use these things to try to gaslight you, to make you accept this manipulation. So when you hear this ocean thing and attracted and all that's like, you see attracted, you look at her and then like, you see, that's why you attracted this teen. It's like, no, this is a person that looked like a 20-some-year-old. If I was attracted to somebody who looked like a woman, an adult woman. Look, she looked exactly the same. You're forcing this nasty sexual arousal toward these kids and make it look like, oh, now you're forcing my brain to have these sexual arousals. And then because this trash are there to gaslight you. And they do that to other times. That's the thing. Even this story of Snapchat, there's a man who followed somebody who he thought was, he was in his 20s. He thought she was like some 20-some-year-old. She was showing like things about traveling and all that and this. And then they started using that to gaslight him, to make him internalize the current experiences. Because today what they do is like they can force you to get these sexual arousals. This, I guess, somatic sensation, stimulation. They force you to have toward these children, from the youngest to the teenagers, and it's been proven they do that to others. And so they use these clowns who are supposed to dumb you down, and they purposely have people who have force a stupidity, a rationality. But of course you can see through it. Even at the target major say, oh, it's like when I was trying to argue with these people because it doesn't make, and I don't want to use the word rational sense. And of course, this is not about being rational. They do these nasty manipulations and then they try to gaslight you. And they're like, yeah, we proved it. I proved that you do that to everybody else. Do you need another proof after this call? Should I look at something else? Some woman specifically being forced to get sexual arousal toward this child or this teen? And then the video is like, you see, attracted. Trash us. It's been proven that this is not a unique tactic. It's so systematic that it destroys this facade so badly. So badly. That's why they're going to use the most retarded clowns that have no shame, no matter